to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Total protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal with your host, Conan Neutron. Broadcasting from a secret underground lair in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
A gigantic middle finger to everything that is rotten about music, rock and roll, and corporate power.
Thing is, though, if you don't laugh, you're going to go on a killing spree with sharpened nails.
Confidence of a hero or a fool. I wasn't exactly certain which.
Could not be more professional.
It's only one I choose to devote my life to. That's okay.
It means something. It means something.
And they got away.
You know, that's my take on it. What's yours?
Protonic reversal.
That's like a science thing, right?
Indeed it is. It is a science thing. It is a science place. It is a scientific fact that we are all up in your face. It is time once again for the one, the only Protonic reversal. Welcome to it. Welcome to it. Welcome to it. Good evening, everybody. So we got a returning guest tonight. We'll be talking to him shortly. Mr. Mike Hart. He's been a busy boy, and I just realized it's been 2 years since we last talked. So if you remember, if you're a longtime fans of the show, I should say, is that long time? I guess 2 years is a pretty long time. Episode 231 is the last time we chatted. Whole bunch of stuff has happened since then. Very excited for some new Thrall news, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all of it. Before we talk about any of that, we're going to talk about this, which is to say that welcome to Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. I am your host, Conan Neutron. I'm a rock and roll lifer that's been touring and recording for 23 years, most known for the band Conan, Neutron, and the Secret Friends. Music's a huge part of my life, and I use the format of this very long-running podcast to talk about music with musicians whose work I enjoy and respect, but who may not be household names. This is episode 348. Now, this is your first time listening to the show. Archives of it are available for free. No ads, no sponsors, no kidding, at protonicreversal.com. However, if you want to support the show and get episodes sooner, $1 a month at patreon.com/protonicreversal will achieve that goal. And if you like the show or even just a single episode, please feel free to like, subscribe on your platform of choice, share it around on the internet, and even leave a review. All that helps people discover the show, beatbacks the almighty algorithmic overlords, and it's a darn nice thing to do. So there you go. I feel self-conscious of getting my preacher on, having Mike Hart on the show, but I'm doing my best.
That was good, man. You have a radio voice. That was beautiful.
Mike Hart, welcome back to the show, man. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
I can't believe it's been 2 years. It seems like 2 weeks, and it seems like 2 decades.
Forever, yeah. It goes by so fast, and I had so much fun talking with you last time. And Johnny got us together, and we're back, and he said, want to do it again? I said, I'd love to. There's just so much to talk about. And I'm so glad someone out there like you are taking people like me a little bit of notice. Thank you so much.
Someone who I respect quite a bit called this show the Library of Congress of Weirdos, which I thought was pretty good.
Hey. Well, as long as you're on our side, we're good with that.
Yeah, as a self-identified weirdo is that's I took.
I can handle being weird. I mean,
Library of Alexandria. Really I don't know. Is it weird?
We could have a whole. It existed, I think.
Yeah.
So, I hope But
so, why don't we start with the most recent stuff, which is to say that Thrall is back and playing.
Yes, we're back recording and playing. We have some shows coming up. Playing a show for David and Johnny, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Coming up here September 15th at the Loving Touch in Detroit, and then we're going on the road to just a little bit to Kalamazoo. Scott wrote it down for me.
It's always good to write down your dates. Yeah. So
the runoff in Kalamazoo.
Oh, that's great. That's Bronson Arm. That's Bronson Arm's place.
Yeah.
Good
place to play.
Great place. Really cool spot. Yeah. It's they're a hell of a band, and he's made a hell of a little venue that's like just exactly for the people that it's for. So that's really cool. I like.
Well, it's gonna be a great show because I'm from Kalamazoo, so
fantastic.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Not a big place. But
no,
very,
that's what
very
makes
cool.
it. That's what's so much fun, though. I mean,
Right.
I mean, we're gonna be saving souls.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to get down. You got to get it down and testify. Speaking of testifying, how about this picture right here? Right, boy.
That's from the Fuzz Fest put on by Box. This is the 8th year in a row, and we did the Saturday night. And Johnny Brandon played the Friday night. So it was like tons of bands.
Yeah.
And pretty good venue. The sound was terrible. We were the last band on Saturday night, and the sound, it was like all the amplifiers have already been ran through like 30 bands. So they sound like little farts, the bass. Karen,
everything's been blown.
Yeah, the magic, it was terrible, but the magic was how beautiful Karen was and how she just stuck right with it. Yeah, so sometimes when you have a distraction as good as bass player as she is on stage, it makes it a little bit easier when the sound sucks, Yeah.
Well,
and Karen rocked. Oh my God, she's my favorite bass player.
She's a great player,
yes,
and it was cool to see her back in act, or whatever. See the pictures, but her back in action. It's a little far away from me.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And she's not going on the road with us, but she's doing the Detroit show, and hopefully she writes. I've told her we got to write this new record, and she might come over. But Pat O'Harris is going to play on the road with us, and he was in the Mike Hard band.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So it's someone that's like a known player for you.
Oh, yeah. For years. And we toured a lot through the Midwest with him, like a lot of Midwest with the Mike Hart show.
Sure.
And, we had a lot of fun. So, yeah, he's back in. He's playing bass, and he knows all the songs from before. So
that's great.
Yeah. I just got to get out there. It's what's going on right now is, and it's like the last thing Dave and I talked about is like I was about ready to, I'm older now, and the last show it was just like took so much. It was almost like it was spiritual. I think I did leave my body, but I thought it maybe because I was almost dying.
Yeah. Well, you don't know if it's because of the heat or just something else or like whatever. Some new plague. Who knows?
But it was so So. And we're playing these places that we know really well and people know us. So, I don't know about Chicago. David lived in Chicago for a while. I lived in Chicago for a while. But it's always fun to play in Chicago. We know some people there.
So is it just kind of like putting the glove back on or revisiting everything?
No, it's really a lot more kind of spiritual than that. You know what I mean? It's more like, it's almost like a mission now. I feel like I'm a man on a mission. And
sure.
I know I'm usually when people go to the show, I'm preaching to the choir maybe a little bit, but if we can get that to go out of the room a little and into the community, but it's so easy to hate in this world, and to get someone to smile and to get someone to smile and just to have a good time, and maybe that's what I'm here for. I mean, we got to start thinking about the future for these kids, man. It's these old guys running this country are messing it up really, really bad. I hate to get into that, but it just as a parent and having 3 children, it does scare me a little bit.
It's a geriatocracy.
It's just fascism. It's just this. It's just this fascism that's going on. I mean, we started with Ronald Reagan, and we thought that was fascism. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, the whole with the dead Kennedys and that whole scene coming out of the California, the politics. But this is far worse than what we were going through and what we were talking about back then.
Yeah, and there seems like there's a real absence of hope for a lot of folks too, because
I think that's on purpose. So I think everything, this whole the hate, the absence of hope, the no future, it really makes you be a good consumer.
Yeah, makes you easier to control. Sure. Yeah,
and manipulate and like I said, it's easier to hate someone than it is to love someone, because you really have to try to have some type of empathy to get the love across. And if you don't want to have empathy or put yourself in someone else's shoes, then you're going to be seeing the viewpoint just through blinders. And I think that my daughter goes to University of Michigan, and I go up there and the dudes, all the young dudes, man, are really they're really letting me down. It's these young boys. I mean, they're all dressed in a sport jersey and khakis everywhere, the whole town. I know it's Ann Arbor, it's a sports town and everything, but it's like there's this uniform madness that's creeping in, and Did you see the thing with the all the guys in the pickup truck that were all had the khaki pants and the blue shirts, and they were some type of fascist dudes, and the police found them in the truck. It's like 30 dudes in a box truck, like waiting to jump out and scare everybody in their little fascist khaki pants. It was a couple of years ago. It was at some rally, I think in Colorado.
Yeah, and that's become like, and people cling to that as some kind of identity because it's, at least they feel like they belong to something, I guess, but it's
and
so
then once you go,
gross.
that's hope, and now you belong to something, and then, but that's how
Congratulations.
Yeah, I know it. Wouldn't it be funner to belong to something else, or to have an alternative to that might be just as fun, like going to a rock concert all dressed up, and you could do security or something. I don't know, but it's got to be a better way to have a life than getting into a pickup truck with a bunch of other dudes. To me, it's hilarious. Like, what are they talking about? I just love to be standing in there, like, dude, we're really gonna fuck up this place, man. We're gonna come up and beat up people. We're gonna. There's a lot of women out there. There's a lot of people we can really make victims. Like it's just how does that get into their mind? I mean, it's like it's not the thought. It's who puts that thought in there.
Well, and it's. I think you're right that a lot of it culturally is pushed towards, again, if you keep people like lonely and feeling isolated, you can sell them stuff, right? But then
you can consume.
But there's I think there's a certain degree that like that loneliness doesn't go away. Like it just can kind of gets like more sharply, finely honed, and turns into meanness, turns into like this casual cruelty,
Yeah,
and I'm not saying like get in the pit and love somebody.
They have to act. Are you saying because you have to act that out?
Yeah, well, I think it's a natural progression to do that if you don't have something to build, or maybe they feel like they're building something. I don't know. Like,
when I get
and some people are just terrible too. Also, there's also that, but it can't be all of them, right? I mean, it's just like we're locked in this kind of clown car of
craziness all around.
The individual being celebrated, but not their needs not being supported.
Man,
like,
you hit it right on the button. But that's once again, it makes you a good consumer. All of that stuff that you're just saying right there. And so you wonder why. You don't have to wonder anymore. You know why you feel lonely, because there's outside forces, the external world pulling from your internal self and making you want to leave your body where you're just perfectly comfortable inside of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And when I get lonely, and it's like sometimes I just read a book.
Yeah.
And it's like a maybe even like a some Russian like Dostoevsky or something.
Right, yeah. Oh, you think you're lonely? Huh?
Yeah. You think you're lonely? Check out this.
Check out this dude.
But it seems like it. Oh my gosh! And I really think like that people just need to read more books, because a lot of these theories that are out there right now have really been written about immensely, especially this whole corruption with the Trump thing and all this that other crap. It's really well documented. There's no reason why anyone should be stupid not to read a book about it. Just one.
What's he? He's up to like 91 counts of indictments or something at this point. Which
it's outrageous, and to have people just sit there and say, I mean, I in my whole life never thought the revolution against the White House would be sponsored by billionaires. Isn't that amazing?
It does seem nuts, right?
That.
Yeah. It's sort of like, oh, really? Those guys?
In the age group, think of the age group. Where a lot of those people were, well, it was at least led by like the hippies, right? I mean, they were once. I mean, I'm 65, so these people 70 are in charge. So they were really the hippies.
But a lot of the hippies end up being like the most selfish people in the world.
I know what happened, man.
It's like, like all those things you espout. It was like peace and love for me, but not for thee, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Like, was Mitch McConnell a hippie once? I mean,
he couldn't possibly have been. I don't know. Maybe he was. Who knows? But I think it's notable too, because you get that dopamine hit of the social media, right? You get the feeling like you're doing something. And I saw a study saying that. Because I personally feel like it's more energy for me to read now than it used to be, for whatever reason. I don't know why. Like the pandemic.
Well, because it's the same with me, because you're swarmed by more gratifying media.
Exactly, because there's a dopamine hit from social media, everything, every movie in the world is now streaming.
And to get it quiet enough to read, where there's not noise in the background, where you concentrate on what you're reading. Maybe that's on purpose too.
Well, and that's what I read this article about talking about how that's actually an endemic problem. Is that right now?
There you go.
And it started with people when people started with e-readers and whatnot that like that was, and they're like, oh,
yeah,
well, hey,
so it goes back to a concentration, like they do with advertising and stuff like that. You got them for 15 seconds or 10 seconds, or
did you get a
there
push
you go.
notification? Something pops up. Hey, you know,
Right.
Trump just did this. Okay, let's go check that out. You know, what's he up to
Instant
now?
pleasure, self-gratification. Accept no substitute. Help is on the way.
Right, exactly. But the thing that gets me with all this is how art itself has been completely devalued. Like just not even like a factor. Like and then to add in like AI, right? Oh, AI is going to do the art, and then like the people are going to do the hard labor. Hold on, that's not the future I thought we were going to get.
Oh yeah, you know what's so funny about it? They want to do it to like, you know, I heard of some guy that was like an extra, and they used his extra shot in another movie, or just
Sure,
like took
yeah.
his whole image, his whole body, put him in the background. He was in the background, so you know he didn't get paid anything being an extra to get that, maybe $50 or something like that.
Yeah.
But they're so goddamn cheap.
Yeah,
They can't pay him for it to be in the next his other $50.
it's you know, it's like you could build one less pool in your mansion.
Oh yeah,
just
you know,
to
a
pay
funny,
these dudes
a
that.
funny
Yeah.
story. My daughter's boyfriend was talking about anarchy, like how it's
Yeah.
terrible, or oh, it's evil, you know. And I looked at him. I was like, where did you get that impression? You know, I mean, here's the word anarchy, and his first thing was like, oh, it's terrible and evil, you know. And
No.
he's a younger kid, so I don't know if he got it from the skate culture or whatever. But I looked at him and go, you know, anarchy is not evil if you think about it.
Yeah.
You think about it, anarchy is probably your best bet for yourself. I mean, really, you know, we all
Certainly
build up.
within small groups, for
But
sure.
that's why I had to just explain it, what anarchy kind of in a basic level is, you know, like we build a house together, all of us, and then that house rents out. Instead of someone taking all the rent money and we go on and slave out to another job, that's our house. We built it. We control that property. We processed it, and it's ours now. And we should all split it up. And if you look at the fundamentals of anarchy,
Evil.
just break that out from there. Yeah, that sounds really evil, doesn't it?
Terrible.
Hey, I built that building. I built that building 10 years ago, and I'm still getting my royalties on it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. How dare you, sir?
Yes,
no,
that's
it's
evil.
but it's a loaded term, right? It's a term that you
It's
can
a
use
word.
as a cudgel for things that you don't like. In the same way that like 90% of the people that, you know, yell about who is or is not a socialist doesn't actually know what socialism means. Or care.
That's just
You know?
terrible. Yeah. And like look at the bailouts, right? So the government's bailed out Ford, they bailed out the airlines, the
That's
bank. In my
socialism.
lifetime, I'm how old? I've seen it all. You know, they bailed out so many, and then the students need a break. You know.
Socialism for thee, but
They
for me, but not
bail
for
out
thee.
the students. They won't bail out the
No,
students.
it's so repugnant and so transparent. where
And
it's
all the
like-
students were trying to be better, whether they did or not. Who cares? They're trying to better themselves. Give them the money, get them out of here, so
Yeah.
they can start buying junk again. You know, they'll buy washers and dryers and refrigerators with that money
The good
instead of
little
it all
consumers.
going to one bank. Right?
Yeah, and other countries look at us like we're nuts too. They're like, "What?
Yeah, that works. How does that work?
How does
You know,
how does any of this work?" And we're like, it
people
doesn't
get
really.
rich and they invest.
And don't get me started about healthcare. But anyway, like I think it's so in these times it's all the more important to have art with an immediate effect to it. Like a sort of like I'd venture to say that like as good as the recordings are, God Bullies and Thrall are both great bands that have recorded great records. But like there's nothing. You can't put no matter how great your sound system is, you're not going to have like the, you know, be healed child, you know, kind of level of revivalism going on, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You're not going to be able to touch it.
Yeah, and it's well, I mean, maybe they're working on it with the holograms and VR goggles or something. I don't know, but it is something that for me.
It's something AI can't replace.
They can't do.
AI is that, they're not.
Couldn't
gonna
possibly.
be
There's
healing
no way it
people.
could.
You cannot be healed through AI. I don't think so. There's no purpose in my life.
So it's interesting that and most of my favorite bands are very immediate acts, like in whatever capacity, whether it's going all the way back to like the Stooges or something, like where it's just like, oh my god, like this like crazy lightning strike is happening right now in front of my face. But then I think that culturally, if you're into that kind of stuff, you are. And maybe you have a friend that gets you into it, just like the olden days, sure, whatever. But it's also like, well, but have you seen what's on Hulu and Netflix and Max? They just call it. Can you believe they dropped the HBO part of that? It's like, oh yeah, let's drop the part everyone cares about. That's a good idea.
Well, can I believe they made the X out of Twitter?
Oh my God, X! Don't even every time I see that, I get mad. I'm like, what?
That guy's a piece of work, huh? Yeah.
That's clearly a guy that's surrounded by a bunch of people that are being paid to say yes to him.
I don't even, yeah, you should hear a David.
He needs a no
Livingstone.
guy.
You should hear. That's what I miss. A good David Livingstone rip on a person like that. Oh my God, could he put him in his place so fast? Oh, jeez.
So let's talk about David, because of course that's one of the big events that's happened since last we discussed. Obviously,
Yeah, David passed.
Huge hit earlier this year, and that's there's nothing much to say. He was a one of a kind dude, right? I mean, like a hell of an artist, hell of a dude.
Yeah, he was a big part of the whole grunge under Nirvana, the whole thing. I mean, there was a few key people behind that whole scene of the Sub Pop, Amphetamine Reptile, even getting into Reptilian and some of those bands that were touring. It was Peter Davis, booking all these bands, and it was Tom Hazelmeyer, with the label, and then of course, the Seattle sound. But David was a big part of that because he was the editor of Your Flesh, and Your Flesh reviewed all these bands. It was such a great magazine. Are you familiar with Your Flesh?
I do, yeah. And actually, I had an issue or two before knowing who Peter Davis was, what his connections to any of the.
Oh man! And so
back in the zine days, I would just pick up, hey, this looks cool. I'll buy this.
Well, Pete was behind all those artists like Kodrik, and I mean everything.
Sure.
I mean, oh my gosh, and they're so well illustrated, and then the articles and the band reviews, of course.
Yes.
And it was all going through. Pretty much, David was one of the biggest writers for. I actually think he was the editor for a while of Your Flesh. So, and Your Flesh that's how a lot of bands were written about. And the beginning of the grunge, there were so many great bands out there that were just playing in front of a couple hundred people like us every night. And they were brought up and people like Max from Rock and Roll was to the California scene.
Punk Planet was another good one that was showed up a little later, but another good one.
But Pete really had the Midwest down and the thought, and then of course he beat California and Texas, and so David was, when he was the editor of that, he would review the bands. He lived up there in Minneapolis for a long time to work on a magazine. But when we would tour, David would go on tour with a whole bag of cassettes, because that's how all the bands sent their music in, was on cassette. And we'd start a tour for like 6 weeks with a big old bag of just all these bands' cassettes and stick them in the player. Most of them, I hate to say, didn't get past one song by David.
Get through the first 10 seconds. Next.
Oh, man, next. Oh, right out the window,
Right.
Next. But then you get a gem, and you're just like, who the fuck are these guys? Where are they? We want to play with them. These guys are great. A lot of those bands were actually from Texas for some reason. I don't know why, but like the not the My Dolls, they're a bit older, but like the Dicks.
Dicks, yeah. Great band.
Dicks,
Big Boys.
Yeah.
Scratch Acid.
Oh, Scratch Acid, definitely. Yeah, I have a nice Scratch Acid poster in my office.
Nice.
Yeah, from when they played at once again, in front of a couple hundred people in this really, really small club. It was like a hunt club. It was in the middle of the woods, really, it was great to see.
Sure.
No stage, great show.
I had Brett Bradford on that long ago. It was great talking to that.
Yeah.
Dude. That's very underrated guitar player. He has a new band called what are they called? I'm trying to remember what they're called. I'll come to me.
So David was behind all the stuff with Pete Davis and Hazelmeyer, pushing all this whole grunge sound. And I was so fortunate he went to college. He was born in Detroit, went to college in Kalamazoo, and I got out of when I got out of the Navy, I moved to Kalamazoo and started going to college, and that's how I met him. And I stole him from another band. It was so great. I don't think the God Bullies liked it. I don't think Tommy, Adam, and Mike liked it too much, but I just saw in him what I wanted to be, kind of like.
Right. We
thought the same. His sound was the sound I loved, and he was just so damn intelligent. Just working with someone like that, and then I just felt honored, and if I could write lyrics like ooga booga boo, itchy gitchy goo, I'm gonna sock it to you, and David Livingstone thinks that's okay. Whatever, man. I just like, ooga booga boo, itchy gitchy goo.
Yeah, you're doing it. You're doing it. Suckling, by the way. Brett's new band is called Suckling.
Suckling.
They're very good. I couldn't think of the name right now. And what I was going to say was not what it was. No, and that's the kind of thing, right? You play with someone that like is going to make you up your game a little bit.
Yeah, but these look at synchronicity and through life. It's like, how would I, and this was goes through when you lose a close friend like David. You look at yourself and you say, God, how did I meet him? How did my life interact and get into his life, and how did they come together?
Yeah.
You start really thinking about some very spacious thoughts. That just make you think why I'm here. And with David, it's like, if I wanted to join the Navy, I would have never gone back to Kalamazoo to go to college. I would have been he would have gone through college. I would have gone through college after him. We never would have met. But the fact that I went in the Navy, then went to college, then I was a little bit older and we met, and then we did all this great stuff together. I don't know, when you start looking like, what a beautiful thing to have that happen. Is it synchronicity? Or was it meant to be? I mean, you start thinking like that, and
inflection points, and like how much of that is actually random versus the patterns that you can later see.
Yeah. To share my life with him, I felt very special, and he was a great guy. He was single for almost. He did get married about 15 years ago to Michelle, and she was like the best thing that happened to him. I mean, they have a daughter named Sauvé. I think she's 13. And it was just so sudden the way he passed. He died at a chiropractor's office.
What? Really?
Yeah. I guess he was in the lobby and he just had a massive heart attack. But I called Michelle because we were rehearsing. I was supposed to go over and put lyrics down on Pig Harvest, which is his new project we are doing with David called Pig Harvest. And I was supposed to put lyrics down on it. And I called Michelle and she said, David died. Yeah, I mean, just like that.
Ugh. Horrible. That's wow. God, I didn't know the details of it. I didn't ask because I think a lot of people are like, oh, what happened? What happened? It's like,
it was just it was just so sudden. You did not expect that to happen at all. I mean, I'm calling him to go to rehearsal. When we're gonna get it.
Well, he wasn't even. It was like 59 or something, right? He wasn't even.
We had his celebration on. I think it was his birthday or day after. So he just was almost 60 years old, right? Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's so tough because you're in the middle of a project with a guy. You see the guy every day, and I cannot even imagine on Michelle. She is so beautiful and so strong, and she was just like a champ going through this. And I got to get a hold of her because we're doing this show. I think we're trying to get John to maybe play a couple of songs that were God Bullies songs because John said he's never played with David. So we'll see if he can do this in September.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Play like 3 God Bullies songs.
Yeah. Just kind of honor the music.
Yeah, he told a story at the funeral that David, he always wanted to play with David on stage, so he had one chance on the European tour because he's a roadie on it.
Right.
And so David said, okay, you can get up on stage and play the song. And John told us at the party, he goes, yeah, so, I got my big chance to play God Bullies on stage, and I get up there, I plug in my guitar, and David goes, the song's Do the Mussolini. And John's never heard the song, and David just looks at him and smiles. And then he told him the chord progress, like ABD or whatever it is.
Right. So he's sitting there,
walked away,
filling up his pants, trying to just hold the angle. Yeah.
What? And it's like watching David play it the whole night. Yeah, but it was. I laughed just like you when his brother John was telling these stories about David as his younger brother. It was just, oh my gosh, what a nut. And so we're not. When I was talking with David. We had this band we're called Pig Harvest, and we were able to actually get 6 songs with David's guitar work all done on them. So we're working on them right now.
That's awesome. That's So that's going to be a like
an EP. Maybe I'd like to do it on vinyl. We're trying to build up some money right now. Scott's working the internets and all whatever magic he's working over there. He started to do this garage band thing. So there's merchandise and stuff being available now.
Bandcamp, you mean? GarageBand is the...
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Bandcamp.
It's You know what? Honestly, it's kind of a goofy name for the thing, right? But I'll tell you what it is.
It's so cool.
It's the only tool that actually supports musicians, and they can actually get a fair shake on.
Yeah, I've never gotten a royalty check from any of those guys. I mean, not that I really expect one, but I don't. In your heart, you're like, well, have they been people getting downloads from Alternative Tentacles?
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
Yeah, that was them.
Jello was really nice. He called in. That was nice. Jello called and
that's cool.
About David.
Oh,
And
sure.
I said, and I like being like I said, David passed away. He goes, passed away? He died.
He died.
He died. Why does everyone say he passed away when they died? And I go, it's just a little
Cello,
easier.
maybe this isn't the hill to die
Yeah,
on,
it's
dude.
just a little easier to say passed away instead of died.
A little less abrupt, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. But David was working with Kevin on stuff, and he had, to me, he had such a secret life. You know, I mean, he went to Beirut and worked for someone there, and you know, he talked to David, and it's like he said, I want to move I'd live in Beirut, and it's like when I think of that town and how war torn it is in Livingstone, I'm thinking I could just see him like you know, like Burroughs sitting there with a coffee and a cigarette and a morning paper, you know, and just
stuff exploding in the background.
All around
the
back of him,
whatever.
Cars going by on fire, you know. So
exactly.
That was my home, but that's the kind that's what he was. You know, I'm sure. I know Pete, Tom, and all these guys miss him a lot. Shannon, I mean, big part of good friends with the whole cows because you know we spent a lot of time with them. Like I said, it was very good to see Kevin, and he's still doing music. Kevin's of course still doing music, and that's I think that's really good. Even no matter how old you are, you still have now I have a vehicle to say stuff more than I ever did.
Yeah, well, I mean? and you can directly connect with your audience, which is again another nice thing about Bandcamp. That even though it got bought out, it hasn't been ruined yet. I mean, when I talked to Kevin last, he had not one but two records out that week. One he did with Trevor Dunn, and one that was he did like the hepatitis record, and you know that's great because what other time in history could you do that? You know, could you even record stuff with someone that like lives on the other side of the country?
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of what broke up the God Bullies the first time because David had opportunities to, you of course, you have to make money. Yeah, we're not that great of artists to have someone pay our way, but
sure.
We all work, and David had a job at working for Pete up in Minneapolis. Had to move there, and at that time, I'm living in Detroit. Eric is living in Chicago. Tony's living in Minneapolis. David's living in Minneapolis, and can you imagine now? It wouldn't make any difference. I mean, we could literally do it the next Bowie album. You could do it
from wherever. Yeah, the idea of like having to live in the same house like the Monkees, that's an antiquated concept, right?
Right. But just we were just spread out throughout the whole Midwest, and it was really hard to get together to rehearse, to write.
Yeah,
but this, I mean, it's just crazy now. It's like sending sound files back and forth, and it's cool. And I guess David did it. David and Kevin did "She's Wild," and I've been trying to look for it. I can't find it anywhere. But I haven't looked that hard. I'll find it. But I would love to hear that.
Yeah, they did it. Oh God, man, I saw when that happened, and I don't remember what it was under, like what the banner of it was under.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was great. But I'm right now. I'm
I
trying
can't wait to hear it.
I'm like I can't remember. Like what was that. Teenage Larvae? Was it like what Lord and Lady Kevin? Like I don't know. There's so many.
Oh man, Kevin. I mean, he's a really good guy.
Yeah,
I could tell. I mean.
So, yeah. So heavy stuff with David. Was getting Thrall back together already happening before
that's a really good question there, Conan. that's actually the question asked because we're doing a 30th anniversary show in Detroit with Thrall, and we're just getting back together with the original Thrall. I mean, on the Hung Like God record. So Karen wasn't even going to be playing with us. It was going to be
gotcha.
It was going to be Johnny, Cliff, I, and Scott Kodrik, and so we're rehearsing for that, and we're getting ready to go. And that was 2 years ago. And then Johnny passed away. This was before David did, a year before David. And that was once again really sudden. I'm getting phone calls to my house, and Johnny was kind of filtering things for me, so they pretty much take a call so I wouldn't have to. So I called Johnny up, and I'm like, "Why are all these people bugging me? What's going on, Johnny?"
Right.
And no one's answering his phone. And then Scott called me and said Johnny passed away, and he passed away at Scott's house where I am right now. Johnny. But if Johnny was going to pass away, this would be the perfect place for him to pass away. There's music everywhere, and
yeah.
dogs are here.
It's heavy though. I mean,
his was really different than David's because apparently this is the worst thing. Apparently, Johnny overdosed, but
yeah.
I don't think it was it was more like how they say in England, like death by misadventure, maybe.
Yeah.
Because
I love that term, even though I actually, first time I heard that term was I read a James Bond book, and a guy got lost at sea, and they call it death by misadventure. I was like, that's amazing. How come I've never heard that term before? But yeah, it is.
I think it describes it more because he wasn't a drug addict. I mean, I hate to name drug addicts aren't bad. I'm not getting down on them, but
sure.
He was like a lot of people, just experiments. Tommy Shannon would be proud of Johnny. He knew what he was doing, and I mean, and especially around the cocktails kids like to mix up nowadays, and it just shows you got to be very, very careful because you don't know what's in what you take. Of course, we've heard all this stuff about fentanyl. I think fentanyl got blamed for this one, but I don't think it was fentanyl because I think fentanyl turns into like morphine once it gets into your body, so they don't really actually know it's fentanyl right away. If you've been, you know what I mean? It's like, and then if it turned into morphine, then it could have been just Vicodins, or it could have been heroin, or it could have been morphine, or it could have been some type of opiate instead of the dirty word drug. Now we just talked about it. Fentanyl,
yeah.
Right. So of course everyone, he OD'd on fentanyl, and I just know Johnny. He's not that stupid. He would never even have it. But then again, if he took a pill that had it in it, then that would have been a problem. But the funny thing is that they found a lot of what's that? If you chew it, it's a leaf, and you chew it, and it comes in pills. Oh damn it!
Oh man. I don't know.
I'll think of it later, but they found a lot of that in his body. So I don't know. Oh gosh, hey Scott, I'll think of it. So they found that, and so right away, the parents, everyone's blaming Scott, thinking he had something to do with it, thinking the band had something to do with it, thinking this is the band house where people go to do drugs and die, and. So it just really pisses Scott off. It pisses us off because Scott was out of town. Johnny lives with his mom and dad, and Scott said, "Hey, you want to stay at my place?" Sure. And then we call him Sunday, and the neighbor checks on him, and of course, that he passed away in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But there's kind of some stupid ass blame going around instead of celebration. And there was a huge difference between the guilt afterwards, between when Johnny passed away and David passed away, and especially the way people felt about it. It was a lot of heavy burden put on people that didn't need to be. Instead of the celebration of Johnny, it was like if I was Johnny's
instead of celebrating his life, yeah.
Yeah, and if I was Johnny's dad, I don't care how he died. He was a great guy, and his parents should have been proud that they raised a kid like him, because there was not a lot of people like Johnny out there. I mean, he was a loving, caring individual. Yeah. The ladies loved Johnny. He was a lover boy. That's probably what got him in a lot of trouble. But no,
but you want to, when someone passes, you should be able to celebrate their life, not
so have this like drug cult guilt thing around it that didn't even exist in the first place. It was just, who knows? We get older, things happen. I mean, look at me.
No, but that's real, and that's something that's part of getting. I mean, talk of Del Biafra, right? Like D.H. Peligro, like he passed. I was actually gonna have Ray. I was gonna have East Bay Ray and Klaus Fluoride on this show the week that he passed, which obviously that didn't happen. But
no, oh my gosh, yeah, that would have been very.
Yeah, and I was like, look, I get it. We can do it some other time,
right? Yeah,
like don't worry about it. But like that's a shocker. And even if it's someone where like, Angelo, I think it's the diplomatic way to say it is it's a contentious relationship, right? But it's still someone that you spend a lot of your time with.
Oh man, I got to enjoy them, and I think it was Angelo said it was 81. I thought it was 1980, but it was out in Connecticut, and Oh man, I got to meet Pettigrew and East Bay Ray, and they were the coolest guys. I mean, they were all getting along great back then, which probably like they were just starting out.
Yeah, there's no money involved. Yeah,
yeah, no money involved. Joe didn't get a label. Where's my money? Yeah, that money thing, doesn't it suck? Yeah, I mean, it's some artists stop when they don't get money. I mean, I saw a really pitiful thing in doggy. I saw a real pitiful thing in Detroit at South by, or in Austin at South by Southwest, like Wayne Kramer begging for money. And it's like Wayne Kramer from MC5.
From MC5,
It's begging. He says, "I'd like to do my thing, but I really can't do it unless I get some type of support." And it's like, Wayne, don't let that stop you. It's not about money. The dog is attacking you right now. Come on now.
Yeah. Although, I mean, Wayne's also been had some pretty hard times over his life as well. His book was great. It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that man's had some lows. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, the human condition. If you look at it, just like you said. Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah. If you look at it, it's pretty low. I mean, for it's really terrible, especially if you want to be like an artist. If you're going to create, it's
a world of pain, basically.
Well, it's a decisions that you have to make. You're not going to be going to Disney World off your royalties.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're really doing it and you aren't like a global superstar or something, you have to make sacrifices. Like proper vacations are probably not going to be a thing in your future. You'll see the world, but you see it from the window of a van.
Social Security might not be. I know guys that hung around bands their whole life, just even touring with them and working, selling T-shirts, like kind of Grateful Dead type of thing, and they didn't work, and now they're like getting in their 60s, and no Social Security. I mean, why is that? Just because they didn't, they still breathe. Yeah. Human beings, they still need to live.
Well, that's a much larger discussion, my friend. We could.
I think that this. It's just madness. It's like
it is, and it's something where
there's
no retirement,
money, but there's so much money in the world. It doesn't have to be this way. And how much money do you really need to want to be happy? Usually money doesn't make me very happy. I mean, it's nice. Oh my gosh. But that's not one of the things I count on to make me happy.
Yeah. You see these billionaires like just being miserable. It's like, wow, like I can be miserable
like
with
an
no
Elon
money.
Musk guy or whatever his name is. All these guys, Yeah. Hey, Scott, your dog. Do you want to take a picture of her?
Sure.
You pretty girl. Go. He won't let go.
Get in that toy.
Get it. She loves me. Yeah. Whew. But I think this is all on purpose. You can pull this out with just a few things in your life, just adjusting, and basically it's like this media we're talking about. Just can back that down a little bit.
Yeah.
And like I said, read a book, but you'll find out more about any subject by reading any type of in-depth thing about it than what you're going to get on TV or get from a news buzz or get from like Fox News or have you ever watched Fox News?
Oh, all cable news is just dreadful because it's just it's like creating these cozy little circles of confirmation bias. Like the idea of critical thinking.
It's really weird.
Insane.
It's brainwash.
It
doesn't make sense. But to so many people, it makes sense. It's bewildering, and
it's just sort of like, I mean, I think 1984 is overused as an example for things that are oppressive. But like the 2 minutes hate in 1984, where everyone just like, rah, boo, boo. It's like cable news is like the 2 minute hate. And it's okay. So arguably, it's a different target, but MSNBC isn't that much different now. Like I feel like at one point there was some like real reporting, but it's like it's the same
they're
thing.
Just as bad. Yeah.
Like,
I'm just saying
Trump's bad. It's like okay, we get it.
Her hate isn't quite as the level as
no. I mean, Fox News is.
But I look
they're the originators, and they have it down to a science.
He is the monster. I mean that they're not going to tell you any truth either.
Yeah.
I mean, neither. Oh. You're not going to get it there.
Well, it's all corporate. It's all corporate. That's the thing. It's like everyone's mad about like media bias. The media bias is money.
Well, because corporations have more rights than we do.
Well, sure, yeah, especially at Citizens United.
Oh yeah, let me tell you, it's that's where the line's drawn, because we become the product. We become like the more
If you're
we
not
consume,
paying for the product, you are the product.
that's exactly it. And you are the product, but you can break these chains. I haven't bought any new clothes from or any new anything really. I try to buy everything secondhand or not even try to support the new economy. And I've been doing that for years and doing just fine. There's nothing I need to buy new. And if we get people doing stuff like that, I definitely would affect China. And it might affect some other things as well by getting these manufacturers just to stop making junk because people won't buy it.
Well, and then the people that run the thrift store are going to be doing okay, and then that's going to actually support small business. And
and most of the thrift stores belong to some type of organization that donates.
True,
But no, I volunteer at the Kiwanis in Ann Arbor, and 90% of the money goes right back in the community.
Well, okay, so and believe me, I'm a big fan of if you see a mom and pop little thrift store or vintage store or whatever, go check it.
Yeah,
in
this
the same way
it's huge.
I'm gonna say
year business. They do really good.
But they're these bigger ones, I guess they're big box stores.
They're terrible. Around here they're owned by small. The charity owns it, but then they farm out everything, and then they get percentage, and they don't do anything. The charity just gets the percentage back. It's
also
right.
If I'm gonna go to a musical instrument store, I'm not gonna go to Guitar Center. I'm gonna go to a local shop that's interesting and unique.
And there you
anyway,
go, right?
So if you apply that same principle to it, there are options. But tell me how Thrall got. We started talking about Johnny, but tell me how Thrall got back to playing.
Well, it was Johnny's idea to do this anniversary, and then right. Of course, we're getting ready to go 2 weeks before, it's to go off. He passes away, and that put a big damper on it, of course. So then I called David, and we have this band. Hey, David, I got a great bass player, drummer, and they love you, and you want to do something. And that's when we started doing Pig Harvest with Livingstone, and we have, like I said, we pretty much have it done. David did all his guitar parts before he passed away on 5 songs. So it's just great. We have 5 songs we're going to be able to put out as Pig Harvest.
So it's going to be under the band name Pig Harvest.
No. We're doing Thrall.
Okay,
the next record will be Thrall, but we're definitely finishing Pig Harvest because it's almost done anyway.
Got it. Okay,
and David played on it, but David named the band Pig Harvest, so we're sticking with Pig Harvest. But the songs are great.
It's not a bad name. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then there's a lot of great bands that played Fuzz Fest. There was Brandon's Easy Action played.
Easy
Dennis
Action
Tech,
played.
former guest of this show,
He
from Radio
Saturday
Birdman,
night.
which is great. Yeah.
And
he makes great
War
coffee.
Horses.
He has a roastery in Hawaii, and he makes coffee, and it's really good. Dennis Tech from Radio Birdman. War Horses, great band.
That sounds pretty good, right? Have a nice cup of coffee in Hawaii.
Yeah, had some Kona coffee
What am I
that
doing here?
the guy from Radio Birdman made. Great. That sounds
I don't even care if it was the Radio Birdman guy.
Well, I mean, it's you can sit around and
beach.
talk about rock and roll. It's
Real, yeah. Does he have Iggy stories?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Well, and he did this really cool record with James Williamson a few years back too. That it's actually pretty darn good. It's and that's how James Williamson ended up on this show is ostensibly to promote that record. He doesn't do that kind of thing a lot, so that was a vote of confidence as far as I'm concerned.
Good for you. Yeah.
But I mean, I've always been a fan of Dennis's stuff, and it kind of took me a while to get him on. But that guy's got stories for days, man.
He has a huge Radio Birdman has a huge connection in Ann Arbor. It's always been there. There's something I think it goes back to Iggy probably, and I think they were friends with Ron Ashton pretty.
Yes.
Yeah. I did we talk last time about the movie I did with Ron, the mosquito, about the giant 6-foot mosquitoes?
We did talk about that. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think I looked it up on IMDb in real time, if I remember right.
But that was, that summer was just so great. Yeah. Listen to Ron, telling stories of that time of his life and being Ron Ashton. Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite guitar players of all time.
Got to be. He invented a style. I know he was Livingstone's, and I think David really played a lot, kind of like Ron.
No, I can see that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So again, when you're putting together this Fuzz Fest Thrall set and bringing it back, what kind of songs are you picking? Like why? And the reason I'm asking is because like I wasn't there. If there's YouTube of it, I didn't watch it because it's not the same thing, and like I just am not. It's not normally my thing to do that. But I know there's gonna be some more. So what kind of stuff is being played, or is that a big secret?
No, actually, the first we started out playing songs that Johnny was writing because we wanted to make this a tribute to Johnny.
Sure,
So
yeah.
I think 6 of the songs we picked just because Johnny wrote the songs, and
Right.
gosh, I have the set list right over there.
Oh, there you go.
But just a minute.
Okay, this is gonna be an exclusive, everyone. Mike Hart of Thrall is getting the set list, so you can everyone can log into Setlist FM and see what they played. I'm just curious. I'm literally just curious.
Do you have the set list? What's that? Do you have the set list? What? Do you have the set list? Yes.
All right.
Yeah, Scott's getting it. But yeah, so we started out and said, well, the songs Johnny wrote. And then we got Karen, we called Karen up because we had to get a bass player because Johnny passed away. And Karen is actually the first bass player. She plays on the first record.
Yeah.
So then, when we got Karen, yeah. So, and she plays on a couple singles that we did with in Baltimore with Reptilian. We did a single on that, I Want You, and I'll Sock It to You, Daddy.
Right.
But yeah. So I mean, she was.
What was her old band? I'm trying to remember her
Inside Out.
Inside Out. Yeah. Great band.
Started with Inside Out. Yeah, and the girl band, all girl band. I know they had 2 singles out, and then they did a little tour. I think they did go to England and they played around here a lot. Then she's Queen Bee, of course.
Yeah.
So she's put some stuff out as Queen Bee.
Yeah.
Right.
It's she's a powerhouse.
Yeah, man, can really play that bass. It's funny, after the show, she was up there playing, and she did some. She's beautiful, and she does a lot of modeling. And
See this?
oh, cool, yeah. She's beautiful, and she did does a lot of modeling. So she was a guy at the show saw her playing bass,
right?
That saw her modeling, and he goes, "Oh man, I didn't know you could play bass." And I mean, she can really play bass. She is
she's a great player.
Yeah, she can rip. If you listen to that record, I mean, she's in live too. I mean, she's a thumper. And so anyway, it was cool to see that guy's like, oh man, I didn't know you could play bass like that.
Yeah.
So that was it. That felt.
I just knew you for being a beautiful woman. Turns out you're a great player too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can play bass too. Yeah. But of course, touring is like way. We are older, and it's just a lot for. So that's how the most of the songs were picked initially with getting Johnny. Then we asked Karen, what she wanted to play, and those became songs off the first album. And those, I think that's the best Thrall record. I mean, we have like 4 of them, but that one I like a lot. And we're actually playing some Brainsaw as well, because Johnny was in Brainsaw.
Oh, interesting.
So we're doing the Vagrant, and we're doing we're doing Heaven and Hell, a David Livingstone song that he wrote in our set. And then afterwards, we're going to do a God Bully 4 song, like encore.
Very cool.
Yeah,
so bit from everything.
Yeah, a little bit from everything. But yeah, we're going to start out with Goliath, the big song about David and Goliath, the classic struggle,
Yeah.
And it's kind of written about David. It's got, I wrote it when they're burning down David Koresh's building back. That's when the song was written.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
If you listen to it, light the incense, light the fire, listen to the angels sing. They're burning my house down. They're knocking down my doors. So, yeah, so we're starting with Goliath, and then we're going into pretty much the first record, and we play into what Johnny's playing with. We're doing Blood is the Life, Night Fell, Gas Station Speed. Sometimes I Get This Urge, and those are all on the first album. Then we're going doing Get Up and Go to Work. We're doing Alien Gods, and Blood is the Life. And then we're going to do, hopefully, and I hope I get a hold of John, but then we're going to do an encore of Oh Shit, Cemetery, Like It, and Daddy Was a Nazi, which,
nice.
Have you ever heard that song?
Yeah.
Yeah. big time for that.
Yeah.
And then Scott the other day, I don't know where he found it, but he put out "Do the Mussolini"
Right.
on the site. I'm like, where did you find that, man?
Was it like from a tape or something? Yeah.
I don't know. What was it from, Scott?
It is actually on TikTok.
It was on TikTok.
Yeah, and it's actually on Reels.
It's on Reels.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
I haven't heard that song in years. So yeah, "Do the Mussolini," and we should kick that one. I mean, here we are writing songs that mean so much now.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a perfect time to do the Mussolini. So dance move.
Some things never go out of style. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta specify.
Yeah, what is it like? Kicking him in the head until he's dead. Stand in line and take your turn. All you need is piano wire. It's an easy dance to learn. They do the Mussolini. Yeah.
Is it kind of frustrating that like these songs about like encroaching fascism and things like those lines? It's like, oh, yep, that's back. All right.
I don't think it ever left. I think it just built. It's just building. They were starting their little fascist machine back then, and now it's almost come full circle. Unless we can stop it, I think we can stop it. I think there's enough smart people out there to get these guys. It's a certain type of person that is spreading this hate. It's not that hard to figure out who and where they are.
You'd think, but it seems like a lot of people are just willing to be like led down the lane with it.
Well, they are because, like you said at the very starting of the show, the hopelessness. I mean, it really they drill that in, and so you feel you have no other alternative but to group together, and then you group with the flock, and unfortunately, that flock is like flying to hell, or they're like bats, or it's just crazy. I think it's unnatural to think like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two people fuck, all right. Right, two people fucking. That's why you're here, right? I mean, pretty much, right?
Right. Yeah.
There's a Thrall song. It's like two people fuck. They have orgasm. That's why you're here. So, but that act of love is why you're here, right? It was an act of love, even if it was like they got divorced or it was even an illegitimate child or whatever you want to call it nowadays, whatever they mistake, dead.
However briefly
it was an act of love for just those few minutes. I mean, there is incest, rape, and all that stuff. We always have to throw that aside, but the 99% of it is two people loved each other for a few moments.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy to think about.
But if you think about it, love,
how far afield it can,
but
it can
that
come
word
from that,
love,
right? Yeah,
and the sex made a bond, and it's a ritual, and it's inside of you. The hate has to be put inside you. If you're born from love, it's inside of you. It's as simple as that. That's what created you. So that love has to always be inside of you. It's the hate. Where does that come in your life? How much of it is there, and how acceptable are you to the hate? Because that's, I think, what they're spreading is very simple. They're just spreading hate. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's hate. And they have so many ways to prove it, that it's okay to hate these people. It's okay to be the other people. And in this world, when you make people compete for resources, you have to always have an enemy. When I grew up, it was the communists, and then it became 911. But you always have this enemy, and it creates all those feelings. You're hopelessness. The world's going to end. I better buy it now.
Yeah.
And it all kind of comes from either hating yourself, or, of course, if you hate yourself, you're not going to like other people very much. So.
Yeah, and then there's ways of just turning that like self-hatred and self-loathing and weaponize it.
Exactly.
And then it goes back to what we're saying. It's just, whatever.
I think there's ways to turn it off that are really, really simple, because I think it's some type of magic. You know what I mean? It's like a spell. Yeah. And spells can be broken. It just, like, what we're into is music. I mean, like you were saying, live music, those few moments being live and being in an interactive audience, I feel alive. I feel I'm part of something. And afterwards, you feel good, because for those few moments, you were a part of something you really like doing and enjoying, and people you like. And it's a positive thing. These people are getting that enjoyment out of hate. Same enjoyment you're getting out of hate. So how do we say it's not any fun to hate anymore? I mean, the hippies would go and put the flowers in the National Guard's guns, and try to diffuse it that way.
Yeah.
One time downtown Ypsilanti, I was with my son, and did I tell you the story about all the abortion people were down there?
I don't think so. No.
Oh yeah, so I'm with my son, and he was like 11, and we're driving downtown to go to the post office or something. And there's all these abortion people, those big old fetus songs, bloody fetuses, and just nasty ass stuff right in downtown Ypsilanti. And they're holding it up, and women are a part of this thing.
Right.
And so I'm driving by, and I just can't take it after, like, I have to do a lap and have to say something.
Yeah.
So I drive by and I see him. It's like, it's too bad your parents didn't believe in abortion. You wouldn't be here right now. And then there's a woman there. I'm going, you gonna let this man tell you what to do with your body? And she's like looking at me like, it's like she almost looks to the man to answer the fucking question for her. She can't even answer the question herself. I'm like, really, seriously, you're gonna let this man?
It wouldn't be proper. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask him. So then it started getting a little crowded because I kind of was sitting there, and they started ganging up on me around my car. So not to stop me or anything, but just like, what are they doing? What are they talking about? And I'm like, yeah, I wish we were never born. I wish your parents didn't believe in abortion. And then I had my phone and I called the cops and said there's a big commotion in downtown. And it looks like those people with those fetus signs are having a fight. I just drove away.
Yeah.
I just drove away and I hear the sirens coming. So I did my goal. My son reminds me that to this day, like I did that with him in the car.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. And that whole thing of just like the, patriarchy, but like to the nth degree, right? Of just like, like looking to the man, like, well, okay, should I, how should I answer?
Just right in front of your face. And just like,
Jesus, dude.
Yeah, who did this to you? I must have been Jesus. What a nice guy.
Yeah, exactly. Turns out Jesus is quite the dick, apparently.
No, Jesus is a warrior.
Well, I mean, is it ever, because again, the present, I think we went into this last time, but the presentation with God Bullies, especially at that time, it was, it's very easy to misconstrue like deep satire and kind of reappropriated icons and things like along those lines, and just look at it as the thing that people think of as shorthand, right? If you see like a preacher, he's yelling about God stuff and believes this, that, and the other. And I feel like we've gone back around the bend on that, where like, there was like a deep love for irony for a while, and now it's just like, is it irony anymore? Is it back to being like sincere, et cetera, et cetera? But how do you feel about that? Because I think that there's something to be said for the punk rock world, the noise rock world, whatever, like having that kind of the front man or front person, I should say, as the lightning rod, right? This is the locus of the message that's coming at you, and there's a grand tradition of that, but it also can be misconstrued sometimes too, where people are like, especially, and I hate to say it, if an act is like lesser known, like if an act, like it's sort of like, oh, that's their thing, they, that's that band, that guy does these things, where it's just like the part of the allure of like, oh, anything can happen is also like, what's this guy's whole deal? Like, what's what's he up to?
Yeah, that's funny you say that. Scott was he's a union loading in Flaming Lips just played, and Scott got to meet, who was the singer?
Wayne Coleman.
Yeah, Wayne. And so he shows him one of our records. Wayne, this is my band, Thrall.
Yeah.
And he goes, Mike's in. He was in the God Bullies, and we played with them when they first started out in Mount Pleasant, at Murphy's Pub in Mount Pleasant.
Oh, nice.
Like 1988.
Yeah, when they were still kind of sounding the Butthole Surfers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before then, like whatever they're up to now.
Yeah, and he goes, I remember God Bullies. I always thought that was a great name. And then he gives him the Thrall album. It still has the crosses on it. He goes, oh, you guys are still doing the God thing, huh? So it's like, yeah, God's still there. He needs to be held accountable. I'm gonna be the one doing it, But I know what you're saying. Like, is it fake? Is it real? I mean, here I am. I think this is real. And are you just funning with people, or is it real to you? It's so real to me, man. When I play live, I go through this spiritual thing where I almost feel like I leave my body. I literally do.
Sure. Yeah.
And those people, when I you can go in the audience and I can put my hand on someone's heart, I just feel it. And then they put their hand back on me. It's like I feel that. I literally feel like some type of strength or something. It's like it's just an emotional feeling, like being interactive, being like you said, getting immersed into the moment, the now of the situation. And the now is what we don't really get to experience a lot of. And,
Right.
and just hold it for now. And what you were saying earlier about, you go see a live band, it's the moment, it doesn't, listening to the record's great, but that moment when I get to experience full on, and that's what I get to do as a singer. So believe me, I'm trying to have a spiritual experience every time I perform live.
Well, and who's to say that the actual Pentecostal preachers or whatever aren't having a spiritual moment in their own way? But it's funny to. It's funny that it's only acceptable to certain people if it's within that mechanism and within.
Well, because I think it depends it's the same tool, but what's your purpose and what's your use of that tool?
Sure. Yeah.
And I read a lot. I read quite a bit, and I'm reading this book. It was written long. It's in the 60s. It's called The Passover Plot, and it's like a book written by a scholar, a religious scholar, and he said, "What if Jesus didn't die? That he wasn't so stupid because when he went into this situation, he knew he was going to die. So are you thinking he was that stupid that he was going to walk into that situation and just know he's going to die? No, Jesus wasn't dumb. He planned this whole thing out. The disciples came and rolled away the stone. And when they came back in, he was gone because his people got him out of there. He didn't die. It goes through this whole thing like when they hit him with the spear, there was no blood on the cross on the spear. And so he was still alive because technically if you're hanging on the cross, all the blood's supposed to drain down into your feet. And that's how you check if you're dead. There's no blood on the spear. So the spear of destiny is supposed to have Jesus' blood on it. So that means when they hit him with the spear, he was still alive. So anyway, this Passover Plot is the book. And he goes through this. It's like Jesus was really, really smart. So were his followers. And he kept secrets. And his inner circle probably spirited him away. And this is like some scholar that say maybe he didn't die on the cross. And matter of fact, if he did, he was dumber than we think, so.
Well, yeah, and it's also, what's the saying? Jesus Christ, please save me from your followers.
Well, if he saw his followers, I'm sure he would. They would. I mean, can you imagine that? Here's this holy guy, and they make him into. He's being made into a warrior now, and their excuse for Trump is like sometimes you have to sleep with the snakes. Geez, they got to sleep with them snakes there. Clean up all the other environments that are bugging you, like the rats. Snakes will eat the rats. So we need a Trump every now and then just to eat up them snakes for us.
Well, and it's also like, people are very selective about what they remember from that book. That is, again, a collection of tales about, the author's friends.
You can make it mean. Well, yeah, and it was written so right. It was written so far after he died, and all that stuff. But there's great stories in it, like the Galatians.
Remember the money changer in the temple, like that. That's a good story.
My favorite one is when Paul meets the Galatians and they're cutting off their foreskins to prove their love for Christ. Like 30 guys our age saying, "I love Jesus. Give me that broken piece of glass." And it's so. And of course, Paul says, "No, you don't have to do that. To prove your love for Christ. That's silly. You just have to believe in it and be, commit your life." So if you look at now, that's what we have, kind of these guys like proving their love for Christ in such a violent means. Like not to themselves, but definitely harm to others in the name of God. Yeah. But we need someone to tell these guys to back it down. That's not the word. That's not the message. I think Jesus' message was pretty much love thy brother. I mean, love everyone. Yeah. I kind of, it's the only thing I get from that book and whatever is that I think he was talking about love thy neighbor.
Yeah.
If you don't,
and that's what they seem to selectively forget
even too. There's also vengeance, and if you don't,
well,
like hell was, all this shit was invented later. Like the devil isn't in the Bible. Like someone else said a devil, and they said, "Yeah, we got a devil too."
What's the saying too? Like it's for the rich man entering the kingdom of heaven, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. It's like, forgot that one, huh?
Yeah. Well.
Which, it's so funny because it's like, no, well, this is the exact work of God. And the King James Version, well, actually, what God meant to say was this. I was like, what? I thought it was the exact work of God.
Hey, God likes weapons.
Look, God...
He wants you to protect yourself.
Meant this. This is what God meant to say. Yeah. It's astounding. It's like,
protect thy property.
Yeah.
Create wealth for generations. Don't share it with anyone.
I realized I'm trying to. I don't like do a lot of. I like listen back to the episodes or anything. I realized we didn't really talk that much about They Never Sleep. AKA, My Card Band, and I think this is a good opportunity to do so. If you don't mind,
did you get to listen to any of it?
Yeah, it's great.
I think it's like one of my best records. I mean, and look at what it is. It's Karen and David together with Adam.
It's hard to argue with.
Oh my gosh! And David, I cry when I hear that. When I hear David's, I hate to say it, but just not cry, but just like makes me feel really good about when I hear that guitar solo, some of his guitar work on that. It's just I seen him when he started. He couldn't even be like he didn't even face the audience when he first started playing guitar.
That's
he just taught himself how to do all this stuff. I mean, he could read a book. David could read a book and just like, boom, I can mix this down. He really was a genius. I mean, but yeah, They Never Sleep. David and Karen and Adam and the songs on there. I love every one of them. If you want to talk about anyone, just let me know. We are playing Heaven and Hell.
Oh, really? Oh, cool. That's awesome.
And as we play out live, I think we're going to try to get some more They Never Sleep into the set.
Well, because it doesn't seem like most of those songs really got to have their day, right? I mean,
no. Well, we played them around here, up and down.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're a local, sure.
Right? Yeah. We never really got out. We almost broke out with that, but of course, someone couldn't do it. So.
The whys and wherefores don't necessarily matter, but
right.
I that is the one thing I remember after we talked last time. I was like, you didn't talk about They Never Sleep. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. Oh man.
Because I remember we went heavy on the God Bullies stuff. We talked a lot about Thrall and like that's good. But I was like, you know what? That's a good point. And I'm pretty good about at least touching on everything, and I just didn't, man.
Yeah, what's crazy, if you listen to the very beginning of They Never Sleep, it's that quote from the Bible about going into the next world. David found that. And every time I hear that, I'm just like, oh, David, man. It's like, I walk into the valley of this of something. Should I go left or should I go right? Oh my gosh. Yeah. But yeah.
He was a titan, man. That's a guy that like, and sometimes I think that, in this show, I cover a lot of stuff on this show and a lot of people, and just it's stuff, folks that are important to me. But sometimes like people don't know, and then like they'll be like, "Hey, why is everyone talking about this person?" And it's like, "Oh, well, because they were this giant that they weren't necessarily a household name, but they were meant a lot for the people meant for."
And at that time, you look at the giants that really were. I mean, and I hate to say at that time, but that music, a lot of it you can play right now on your record, and you don't miss. It doesn't really miss a beat. I mean,
fine.
Yeah. And you look at like the force behind the grunge. It was very small, like kind of like. I don't know, Nirvana did it, that whatever, they broke it out, but it was totally different from that whole scene because the grunge thing Nirvana really wasn't grunge that long. They weren't still playing clubs for 4 straight years in a row. I think they only did maybe 1 or 2 little club tours before boom, but so they never really, played the all these little clubs throughout America that, like Flipper or gosh, the Cows or Babes in Toyland or, Mudhoney.
Which those are all the bands that they loved and that they felt they had common cause with. But like, but it came to mean something entirely different as a genre placeholder in the way that, again.
Well, but then you wonder how long they would last, though. How long would Nirvana last if they did 3 straight years of clubbing? Just playing clubs and living in a Ford van, I mean.
They did it a little bit on that first record, but not with Dave Grohl. But like I think that it got changed around to mean something else. Much in the same way that meaning the words change. Like again, go back to socialism being just things I don't like. Where it's like, yeah, that isn't actually socialism. That's just things you don't like, and those aren't the same thing. It's woke. Well, what does that mean?
That's that brainwash again. Woke's such a great word. Woke.
Yeah,
and they take words and they turn it. You like that one side uses like I love this. The set what it was about the law. Now they're saying that the laws there's a two two systems of justice in America. No shit, but they're talking about. They're not talking about what we're talking about, man. Yeah, no kidding. There's two systems of justice, rich and poor. Well, they're saying no, left and right. It's the system of justice, but it's because of ideology, not because of income.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I love seeing rich people just say that, there's two systems of justice. Fuck, they take everything away so you can't even buy a lawyer. They, if you ever get in any type of trouble, all your assets are totally, you don't have any resources or anything. You have to beg for a lawyer and tell him, I'll have the money sometime, But yeah, they take everything. You can't even defend yourself.
Well, and they're also, okay, so there's two major parties in America, but they both basically serve the same people.
Yeah, exactly.
More or less,
There's no difference. And it's so, how do they make these hate people so easily? It's like, you guys are just like you. I mean, we are no different. We really are all humans. for lack of a better word.
Well, and so that's one of the nice things that's sort of unifying about music, hopefully, too, is that like you can have this, as an overused term, visceral experience by like seeing something in person, and like it can transcend these petty beliefs. And
you think about like these bands you love. Think of how hard it is for them to get to see you in your local town. Like, we never even got to get to see you. I think we played Milwaukee once. It was in Kenosha. There was like 10 people there, and they wouldn't let the people like on the floor because they just polished it. So they had to like stand way back.
He just polished the floor.
They had the security, like these big fat white dudes, all like standing way up, and like people had to stand back because they just finished the floor and they couldn't, they didn't want to mess it up. It was really weird. It's like a street in Kenosha right across all factories, and we're all bars across from the factory.
Which now those factories are all
gone. Yeah.
It's just but alcoholism is the chief export now.
And They Never Sleep has these great samples, and that's another thing with Livingstone, and a big part of Thrall, God Bullies, and They Never Sleep is finding these really cool samples to be able to take and exploit. And that's what Dave and I just love doing. And we'd stay up all night listening to these, like trying to just get a couple words out of a preacher or any type of vinyl record. You don't see them anymore, of course. That's one thing that I really miss is all these old sermons from that would just be fantastic. And we just get a clip and put it in. And
get a cassette at a thrift store for $2 or something.
Yeah, what's this guy saying? The world's on drugs, and we have. But so there's some killer samples, and once again, this something we used to do all the time. Now I got to do it by myself. It's no fun. It's so much fun finding something and bringing it to David. Go, David, check this out, man, and have him. Oh man, this is cool. That's so cool. Just that sharing part. I miss immensely.
Well, and that's part of a creative partnership that maybe isn't as apparent, right? As like the people think of like Lennon McCartney, and they're sitting there and they're trading off and like
we all have relationships, and we have different relationships with different people, and we have different things we do, interactions. Like David, I would never talk baseball with David, but man, I mean, Johnny, I could talk about the Detroit Tigers all the way to Milwaukee from Detroit,
right?
And
sure.
And so you value your relationships, and they all mean different things, and it makes you feel whole. And when those things get missing and aren't there, that's how I kind of feel like I'm incomplete now. I'm trying to feel whole again, and the best way I can do that is just keep doing what I was doing with those people before they passed away.
And kind of honor the memory by keeping the work going, right?
Yeah, because David, was really strong about getting out, playing live, getting out, spreading the word, getting out, telling people, we got to get some love in our hearts, and we got to start sharing more.
He's pretty vocal about.
He was David always fought for the underdog, man. He never. Always the little guy. Yeah. I was telling his wife we played in Berlin, and we were there on May Day when they had the riots, and every year they have the same May Day riots in Berlin, and we were watching the riots, and they got really close, and I'd never seen David Livingstone run in my whole life, never once, and I'd known him for 40 years or something.
Sure,
I've never seen him run, and then we got too close to the riot cops, and they started coming at us, and we had to run, And it's like David Livingstone running was the funniest thing I've ever seen. And his heel fell off his boot. He had these Italian like Beetle boots on.
Right. Fancy
we're all
boots.
gone.
Yeah.
And David stops. We're like, David, what are you doing? He's like, I gotta go back and get my heel. You know, we're on tour. You know, we got
expensive.
another month to go. Yeah, right.
You got to repair it.
So he had to go back and get his heel and catch up with us. But,
that's great.
yeah. So you might, and of course, he always like had at the funeral, or not the funeral, at the when I knew him, he always drank Diet Pepsi, but I guess he switched to Diet Coke. So I'm saying I know David about Diet Pepsi and a cigarette, and the crowd goes Diet Coke, you know, and I'm like, because I guess he switched his drink, and I didn't know it, but the new David drank Diet Coke, not Diet Pepsi.
Well, we'll let the record show. Yeah,
fucking deal.
Yeah,
He's not drinking any Diet Coke now.
That's the internet
Maybe
for you too. The people will correct somebody on stage over like the cola. Like
this is how I know him. Don't take
shit.
that away.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so.
No, you don't know him. You don't know David. He drank Diet Coke, dude. My David drank Diet Pepsi.
Yeah.
Smoked Camels. No, he smoked lights. He smoked lights. Camel lights. God.
So
right and wrong.
So all right, you got like that in the set. You're playing Cemetery, right? Like how do you pick which? I mean, they're Johnny favorites, right?
Well, with the God Bullies, it's like it seems to be what's the easiest to fucking play. So,
all right, yeah.
So,
I suppose there's something to be said for that, yeah.
Right, yeah, and you know, before I always had a God Bully on stage to kind of play the God Bullies.
Yeah.
Either I had Adam drumming or something like that. So, but that's why we're just doing just a few songs. And I'm hoping, like I said, to get David's younger brother to play on those songs.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
okay, he plays as well, huh?
He played guitar for a while. He toured with us on a European tour. He was kind of the roadie. And when we celebrated David's death, John said, "I always wanted to play with David." I told you the story earlier.
Right.
You know, about Do the Mussolini and like, what? I don't know this song. So we're gonna just give him his chance, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's fantastic. That's really
it should be
really
fun.
Cool.
Yeah. I have to start running or doing something though, man. I tell you, I noticed it was terrible. I was like I was in mud at the end of the night. So
yeah, if you're not doing it, if you're not keeping up with it, on a regular basis, like you will feel it. You will absolutely feel it like a lot harder than before, especially as you.
Yeah, I have a
get on in ears.
Basketball hoop in my driveway. So
there you go. Yeah,
that's what I've been doing. Shoot some hoops.
Yeah,
trying to stretch it out a little bit. You know,
that'll work.
I hope. Yeah, Scott's planning on getting a few more miles out of me, I think.
Scott seems pretty fired up about it. It's pretty cool. I mean, like,
well, you know, that's a whole story going into the Scott Kodrik story of where he was when he left, how many times he quit, and how many times he didn't quit. I mean, oh my God. Man, we had everything. The first Thrall, we had everything. Man, Joel Martin did the record at the same. We did that record at the same studio that.
You're talking about the Chemical Wedding record.
Yeah, Chemical Wedding was done at the same studio. Eminem, Joel Martin helped. He didn't produce it, but he was there the whole time. And Steve King. Yeah. So he left right after that record, and we thought, that's it, man. We just made this killer record. And did I tell you that when Joel Martin offered us money, and then we said
really?
No. Yeah, it was crazy. Jello gave us a couple grand to do the record with, and we're doing it at 54 Sound. It's just beautiful sound, like that Funkadelic recorded at Aretha Franklin.
Great place, yeah.
Oh man, yeah, get a chance to record there. And Steve King was the engineer. He passed away, but he was a great engineer. Worked with all those people, and he got to work on that record. But we get this recording here, and it's just beautiful. And Joe goes, "I'll buy it off you. How much did Jello give you?" And I'm like, well, he gave us like, I think $2,000 or something. He goes, here, I'll give him his $2,000 and I'll take it. And I'll see what I can do with it. And we were, nah, man, we got to be true to Jello. You know, it ain't punk, it ain't cool to take his money, record this. And you like the recording so much that you want to, buy it out from under him. So we went with Jello still. And I don't know if I regret it so much because Joel was part of the industry. I mean, he's the kind of guy that puts your songs in a movie.
Right, of course, yeah,
TV
absolutely.
commercial, or, something like that.
The association is going to get you in conversations that you never would be in conversations of.
Yeah. I mean, he's the guy. The the publishing of Marshall Mathers, I think there was a big court of it. He was the guy that sued everyone for the downloads. That was the guy that was his producer. Marshall Mathers, when it's 10 years ago, he had a lawsuit.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Joel Martin was the guy that filed it. Or maybe Marshall filed it against Joel.
Somebody was suing someone.
They all want their money. Yeah, it was yeah. So, but that was a great time. And Scott started that band with that story I told you last time when they put the sticker up that said, "Wanted Mike Hard." You know, they found I moved here and they were looking for me. And they put a flyer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
have you seen me? Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen me? Have you seen this dog? And so that started it. And we had all this going. Joel recorded, Jello behind it. And then he decides to go to Hollywood and make movies. So.
Yeah, well,
wouldn't answer his parents' phone. Scott home wouldn't answer. Had his mom answer for him.
Wow. How did that work out?
I gotta give it. Oh yeah, I still give it to him here. He's standing right here. He knows it. Like, what the fuck you doing, man? God.
35 years later, I'm still here.
Yeah, 35 years later, he's the last friend I got. They're all dead.
Jesus.
Yeah. I'm starting to wonder why I come over here. I might be with Johnny in the bathroom next, you know.
Oh. Too soon. Too soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so so what do you? It almost sounds like the current incarnation of Thrall, of which there's been a few, right? Because like that second record's like a total. The Hung Like God record is like it's like a different lineup, pretty much, right? I mean,
Karen. I think the only thing is Paul Terzinski's on it, not Karen. And Johnny, it's a total different lineup from the first record. Yeah,
from the first record. I mean.
And then once again, Kevin Hagen, who was a fantastic guitarist, was a guitarist on.
Paul was rhythm guitar.
Paul played rhythm guitar, right?
Got it, okay, got it.
Yeah, Paul, and Kevin Hagen played lead, and on Chemical Wedding. If you just listen to the leads on that record, the guitar playing is just absolutely phenomenal.
It's pretty ripping, yeah.
Oh man, he's just tearing through that stuff, and that's Kevin Hagen, and he passed away about 10 years ago.
Oh man,
more than that, yeah. And I mean, maybe a couple of years. And we toured with him. He did a couple Texas tours and California tours with that record, and I don't know what it is with guitar players. So once again, what's great is that I can think of Kevin when I put this on, and I just listen to that guitar. Sure. And with Johnny the same way, and really with David, it's just that the one I put on the most about David is The Day Never Sleep.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely.
There's a lot of moods there. I mean, there's that's a good thing about God Bullies is that we could do these slower songs, like we could do Abigail.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And Abigail's about the Charlie Manson. No one knows that unless you listen to the lyrics. You'll find out it's a beautiful story about a victim.
Yeah.
But we could do a nice song like that, or Andre, which was from Wojciech. And in the middle of our set, we can kind of get really, really heavy and then bring it down into this kind of psychedelic thing and then build it back up. And that's what we kind of like doing. With Thrall, it's a whole different animal. It's like Green Light Go.
It's a little more bombastic, almost like
just way more emotional, I would think, from my point of view, and just way heavier. It really brings
heavier, and the moodiness is sort of like manifested in a different way. I would say it's sort of more. I don't know, like some. It's almost like cool spy music or something, but in the way that like the Cramps are cool spy music,
right? Yeah,
that same sort of way.
Yeah, I mean,
Dead Kennedys are cool spy music sometimes.
Right. Yeah. I think there's a lot of Dead Kennedys and influence, and like David definitely influenced totally by East Bay Ray. I think you can hear it, even in Scott. I think plays a little bit of East Bay. I mean, how can you not, man?
How can you not be? That guy's like one of those.
Like, jeez, man.
It's like him and like Greg Sage are one of the great innovators of like the single note lines and punk rock,
I mean, that's the sound. I mean, that is it. Those two, yeah. So
I mean, it's no harm to be adding to the bouillabaisse of that kind of recipe, for sure.
Yeah, I tell you, Thrall just, like you said, I think it's just a lot more driving, and it might be a little. I might be a little bit more preachier in it. David could write a really good pop song. I mean, that's when you listen to like Cemetery. To me, that's like a pop song, and if you listen to even even something like Join Satan's Army, it's written really like. It's really got like a pop song, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what David loved writing. Make nice things and just have this aura underneath this of ugliness, you know, like the underbelly of it. David really liked seeing that underbelly kind of that noise come through. It's something really, really nice. Like it looks really beautiful, but it comes out of the dirt with worms and insects and bugs and things that will eat you.
Yeah.
That flower looks really nice, but underneath the flower, there's things that can eat.
There's something else. There's something else.
Like David Lynch, you know.
Blue Velvet.
Yeah, Blue Velvet, right.
I was trying to think of the name of the movie, but yeah.
yeah, Blue Velvet. Yeah, that's that. I think that's the way
where you see the rot.
That's a lot like how David's mindset, and I think mine too. But underneath in the belly of the beast, there's something to behold.
Did we ever talk about the brain saw? I know we've mentioned it like extemporaneously.
No. Do you have the brain saw?
I don't. I know of it. I don't have.
Okay, I will make sure you get brain saw like later this week.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
I'll send it out. Yeah, we just have it. I don't think we have any CDs of it left, do we?
No, but it's downloadable on the.
Oh, is it on the Bandcamp? Because there's a Thrall. I should mention Thrall2.bandcamp.com kind of has. Darn near everything. I mean, they never sleep on there. There's like War on Everybody's on there.
Yeah. There's and then we're starting to get some really cool stuff. There's some live stuff we're putting on there now. There's a live in Iowa at the God Bullies at Dubuque that's just like 23 songs. That's awesome. All of them are good. I can't believe I think someone gave me what's that speed? What is that stuff called? You give the people Adderall.
Yeah.
I think I did an Adderall before I went on stage. Oh my god! What?
I kept putting pills on the amps.
Oh, is that? Yeah. It's like, oh my god! I could see the lyrics before I could see. It was a 22-minute set, and it's just like boom, 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 boom. You know? Oh man! But that's why you love Iowa. You know?
Yeah. Well, and there's Speaking, you mentioned
did that before, and it's like, oh my god!
You mentioned "Daddy Was a Nazi" earlier. The U.S. and the Germany release are in there.
Yes, what a coup! Get to put that out in Germany, right?
Yeah.
Daddy was the Nazi. Yes, he was. Yeah. That's a
great. They don't like talking about that.
No, and he really enjoyed putting it out, though. I mean, the single's really cool.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a chance to put a song out. Daddy was a Nazi in Germany. He was like, come on.
Well, you got to, right?
Right.
I mean,
now just think of how many daddy Nazis there are out there, man.
Yeah, well.
Oh my God, teaching your kids hate and teaching your kids not to like things just because of the way they look. Oh my God. But that's why that's why we do this, right? We kind of
right. So tell me, looks like there's a Brainsaw Live record from 2006 as well.
Yeah, that rips. That's really, really good. And there's a song that you have to hear, and it's called "The Vagrant."
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I've heard that one. Is that Brainsaw? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Brainsaw.
Cool.
Yeah, my mother named me Michael after the avenging angel.
Oh,
I was anointed in the Bible to wage war on evil. And every drunken dive, and every filthy piss hole. This preacher's got to bring his church to his people.
So I know one song.
Yeah,
there we go.
That's all you need to know. That one tells my life story. So
I was gonna say seems like a very good one to know.
Yeah, I love it because at the end of it, I'm like, Jason. I'm like, what? I'm going. Can you see the demons? Can you see them?
Yeah.
Can you hear them? And Karen's going, Michael. It's like, he's going away now.
Yeah, it's doing like a whole tableau. Yeah,
like come back. And I'm like, can you see the demons? He's like, Michael, come back.
Did you? I can't remember what we talked about Thrall wise last time, but did we talk about "I Want You" and recording with Steve and all that? I can't remember if we discussed that or not. I should have.
Well, "I Want You" was with Warren DeFever.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
So there you go. Maybe
Warren.
get it
Warren.
twisted.
Well, you're familiar with the Warren's work.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So Elvis Hitler was one of his bands, but that's just was his rock and roll band.
Yeah.
That he's in with his brother. But yeah, I've known those guys for years. He hangs around with this guy named Kenny Mugwump and Davin, and they're kind of had this really cool scene. Just Time Stereo. Have you heard of the Time Stereo?
I've heard the name.
And Mog 5, Mog Stunt Team.
Yeah.
They're just those guys helped us shoot the production company helped us shoot Kill the King video.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, neat. All right.
Yeah. And so that was a whole Detroit scene that was there for a little bit when it was there. It was about that was probably 20 years ago as well. But yeah, Davin is like an installation artist where he builds stuff to get wrecked.
Yeah.
So it's really fun going to his shows.
Like the destruction is part of the art.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he does other things, but that's kind of how I met him. And we'd have like fights, wrestling matches in these boxes that they would build and just throw them at each. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, wreck the whole installation. And but yeah, we met Warren through him because they were roommates, and Warren's always been a friend. So yeah, we got to record that with him, and then I think was it Hung Like God or no Lifer we did with Warren again.
Lifer was
Hung Like God we did with Warren.
Hung Like God was Warren.
Yeah, and I Want You. It's like I don't know if you heard like the way Warren took the vocals and just switched them with a harmonizer and just
where it's all kind of
he's like mixing the vocals.
Right, it's burbly.
yeah, right. I'm like, yeah, sure, Warren. I like it, man. I think it's cool. But I love Warren's a great guy to work with.
Do you think that there's so much music and like so much of it is look, there are other people that I can say this more about, but like each one has its own identity, right? Like, like we mentioned, like, They Never Sleep a lot. There's the Brain Saw. God Bullies are very distinctly different from Thrall. Hand Over Head, right? Is the is the
That's
actual
the first one
Daddy Was a Nancy.
Yeah. Evil Guru. That's on a picture just on Sympathy.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yes. Long John John. Yeah. Jeez. Having a unique identity for each band, an important thing. Like, is that something where it's sort of like this is like the container in which this goes? And
exactly. You named it right on the head. That's the container. That's the name of the project. That's the name of the band.
Right.
Yeah. And you start messing with band names and different people. You kind of negate the people that were there and in that band. Well, you know what I mean? I see what you're saying. Where it's sort of like, okay, if you consider the band like these people, and one of those people like is out of there, or two of them, or three. Right. I mean, I can see for money, I could always be the God Bullies. Just keep doing God Bullies. But it doesn't sound like a God Bullies. I mean, when I didn't have a band, or I couldn't really get a band with a name, I did a Mike Hart show. Right. Like we just do some greatest hits, and play live, kind of get so like. But that was more selfishness, just so I could feel good about myself and getting out and getting that energy out of my body. I mean, you gotta find a way to get the yayas out or whatever.
as they say, yeah.
You do. I mean, I think some reason why I feel so good at my age is because I've been able to scream and yell and get these, this inner self outside of me, instead of keeping it all bottled up and inside and get it out where you can see it,
Right.
Yeah,
no, absolutely. That's
yeah, I think it's like that's made me I mean, like I said, I feel good for my age, and I hate seeing my friends dropping around me. With David, it's just like I got to think like what David saw when he passed away must have been so beautiful or so much of an adventure. Like they say when you I don't know, you read about it, like when you're leaving your body, you kind of are looking down upon it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. So I just think with David, because I've known him so well, it's like whatever he saw, he liked.
Yeah, it's heavy, man. Like and it doesn't get any easier as time goes on. But
he's always into an adventure, and I just like it's weird when you think about that. It's like David, because he didn't look sick or anything at all, man. I mean,
there's no.
I'm calling him that day. Hey, what time you want me to come over and put these vocals down? You know what I mean? It was just that fast.
Right.
So you're just like, what did he see? I mean, it's like mystical to me. Did he see something? I mean, was there a light? Was there something like, yeah, David, here, come this way? Or was like, did you see, Ronnie Ashton saying, hey, David, I'll teach you guitar part here.
Yeah. Finally, you're here. Plug in your guitar. Yeah.
It must have been beautiful because I know David loved his wife and loved his daughter. And he really, ever since he left Michelle, like when you first, I mean, a lot of people that know David, it's like, he wished everything died. Like,
yeah,
I only catch cancer and die, or something.
Yeah. He's a pretty intense dude. That
yeah,
way.
Really intense. He didn't like you. He was like, yeah, I hope you get burned in your own fat, or something. I can't do him like he can. But man, if you ever seen a bad David Livingstone review, he could really rip off the words. And,
he was not a shy man about that kind of thing.
Right, yeah. I remember Kalamazoo, he interviewed, he worked for Kalamazoo Gazette, and he got to be like the head interview guy. And then Barry Manilow came to town, and he had to interview him. And he couldn't pull back. He just ripped Barry Manilow like a whole new fake butt. And he got fired like the next day or a week later. But it was worth it to David. He just couldn't. This job's not worth Barry Manilow, legitimizing this guy.
That's the line in the sand. Put
a line right here.
It's the Manilow line, actually.
He got out of college. He had this like publisher job. We're like, David, you write for the entertainment for the Kalamazoo Gazette, man. It's so cool. He's like Barry Manilow, like he didn't care one bit, man.
Did you did we talk about Color of Noise last time? The documentary.
I think we just talked about a little bit of it. That was really, really fun, and I think they did a good job with that.
Yeah, I thought it was well done.
Yeah. I got to spend a lot of time with them in Detroit. God, I don't even know. I can't remember the guys.
Yeah, Godbullies are pretty heavily featured.
Yeah,
in that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of, it's not about any one band, of course. It's
no,
it's about the whole world, but.
Well, I don't know if you got how much time you got to spend with the other bands or anything like that. But. We had a great time when they were here. We went all over Detroit. They got a couple of Hey Babies. So they're like, what? But yeah, Detroit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was a great documentary because it certainly was a specific musical time period that now that music's gone. I mean, really it is, and the venues are all pretty much gone. There's a few left, but it's not like. Before you'd have like Kalamazoo used to have like 4 or 5 bands playing every night. You go anywhere there's a band playing.
Yeah. I don't know if I could agree with the fact that it's gone so much as like it's definitely not as much to the forefront. You have to look for it a little harder, and there's certainly it's more niche than it used to. I mean, any live music is more niche than it used to be, unless it's like Taylor Swift or something.
Yeah, Scott said the Flaming Lips were fantastic. He thought they were just.
It's a great show.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't remember the last record of theirs I bought, but like it's a good show.
Yeah, it's got the big ball. He comes out and rolls in the audience.
Doing the thing. It's a good time. Yeah.
And it's. I mean, to see bands like that being able to play in front of that many people and maybe get a little bit more money for it is another fantastic thing. I mean, really, I can't. I think bands should. It's so hard. People don't realize how hard work it is to really get that far. It's a lot of hard work. I mean, really, with the Bullies, that's where I was telling you that's what I saw. I mean, it's just got to be too hard to work, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, exactly. How much effort you're putting into it.
Right. I love recording. I love recording, and like we were talking earlier, had we had the tools we have now. Maybe the Godbullies never even broke up because David and I still are working together as we got closer back and living in the same town. Immediately we start working together again. So it does put stress on bands stuff. Just trying to 6 weeks on the road, just stuff like that.
And there were weird little success stories.
But the same token, I would tell any kid to do it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Any kid that like get in a grunge band and get in that band and you'll get some shows booked here and here, but you might be able to squeeze in a show, getting on a list here. But man, I would say any kid that to do it. You're not going to make any money, but you're going to really find something out about yourself. And and I think if kids made journeys like that, not so much even with rock and roll or starting a band. I mean, that's what I did. That was a vehicle for me to kind of learn how to get out of my body and be able to see myself with empathy for other people and walk in other people's shoes. Because when you get in that band and you're going to all these towns and all these places, you have a lot of time on your hands. You see a lot of different things. You meet a lot of different people, and you start growing. And
right, yeah.
And being contained in the world, especially with COVID, what we were speaking earlier, that even causes more, problems, like being locked up inside all by yourself with this massive media pulling at you from all different ways, and
being isolated, not just emotionally, but physically. Yeah.
And when David passed, he a few people at the party afterwards were saying, did David get the shot? It was the shot that got him. And,
oh my God.
Yeah. It kind of made me upset because who cares if you're gonna go when you go. I don't think it was the shot, but then you start thinking about it. It's like, and then they're like, "Did you take the shot?" And it's like, I saw what it did to my mom and my dad. My stepdad, it nearly killed his ass. But they told him, start writing out the old death will right now, but he pulled out of it. But that's how bad it was. And same with my brother. I took that shot basically. I just didn't want to get that sick, But I'm still.
That's like for me, it was like I like playing music, so it's important enough for me. And also, I don't know, like we could turn this into the vaccination hour for sure and talk about it. But like the amount of people that actually get like severe reaction from it are so infinitesimally small, whereas an actual plague where it's like, that will kill you. Remember when they were taking bodies out of the street?
It would have killed David because he had asthma. He always had a
pre-existing condition.
Yeah. His lungs weren't good at all. If he would have gotten that, he'd have really been sick. So he got the jab, But you know what?
We turned into a personal choice issue, which is amazing because we could just never have done the quarantine at all, and everybody could have saved like a bunch of effort if we were just going to be like, all right, whatever, live, laugh, love is the CDC's ruling, I guess.
Well, you got to think of things happen on purpose a lot in this world. You got to think that happened on purpose. The conspiracy wasn't the jab or the medicine to cure it. The conspiracy was the Chinese letting it out. They knew what was going to happen to their economy, so they shared it with the world. You could get deeper into conspiracy and say it was on purpose, but darn goddamn well that their economy was going to go down with it, and they just took everybody else with it.
Maybe
it could be as simple as that. So you can say a big conspiracy and all that, but
it's also like what are you going to do about it?
Well, they tried to make it cure. Well, they tried to. They made a vaccine in world record time, never before heard of. And unbelievable when they put.
It actually is pretty impressive considering. In that way, at least everybody worked together towards a common goal, right?
Did you see anyone with it? It was pretty. I thought, like I said,
the neighbor got it, and he almost bought the farm.
Right.
It was harsh. Arguably, I don't know. It was pretty early on, but I get it was before it was known. But I got a flu that was so intense that I was like, if this is not better by tomorrow, I'm going to the hospital. And then it got better the next day. But it was like a few weeks before anybody knew anything about it. Like they were still kind of calling it coronavirus, but they were like, that's this thing. It's from far away. Blah, blah,
right.
I
know.
And then I actually got it, and it was like very mild, just because I had
the shot.
I had the shot.
I got it too, and it was very very mild.
It's not gonna collapse my lung or anything,
Then you're like, did he take the shot? Was it the shot that killed him? Oh no! Oh my God! Fear!
Well, because
I took the shot too.
You had the president of the United States telling me, like, joking around about injecting bleach. Like that's a thing that happened.
Purpose,
it was like, oh
purpose.
my God! Like I guess you could say that's like an intelligence test. But,
in my lifetime, you knew Trump was coming. You knew after a president like Obama that it's always like that. It's like you get a Clinton, then you get a Reagan, and then you get the. It's always like
it always
when you had
back the other way.
24, a whole circle. And so you knew after Obama, you were going to get someone like Trump. You knew that was coming.
And now you just get these senile old dudes yelling at each other. This debate's going to be amazing.
They got to give it up. These kids, really.
They'll never do it.
Well, that's what it is. They don't want to go back to be, working at Chicken Charlie's or selling Bob's new cars. That's where they come from. Look at these guys, what would you rather be, a Senate and everybody opens the door for you and shuttles you around and waits on you hand and foot? Or would you rather go back to owning a Chicken Charlie right down the street?
Right, exactly.
That's where they go. These guys.
You can be president of the restaurant.
Yeah, you could be president of a local Lions Club. You know,
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Everyone will give you all the
that's-
respect in the world.
that's where it starts. Yeah,
We can
But
just
yeah,
make a little oval office in the back room.
that's where
run
they're
wild.
going. I mean, so they'll never, like you said, and then they gerrymander their shit, so you can't even vote them out, even
Yeah,
if they
that's-
are bad. That's the gerrymander's just terrible.
When people try to make excuses for that, it's like, really? I can't wait to see where this
Yeah.
next sentence is going, because like this is not the people choosing the elected officials choosing the voters, you know. And then that's
what it is. That's what gerrymander.
nobody was looking for that ever.
And then to myself, I have to say, how did we get so goddamn stupid? We let them do this, and then you see how easy it is for them because they've already dummied us down. So
Yeah.
you know, but if you gotta kind of feel stupid the way they are able to manipulate the minds of so many people.
Oh, sure. Because and they're taking advantage.
It kind of
of
rubs off on you sometimes too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's that the hate gets to you. Oh my God! But I have hope, Conan.
Lay it
I
on
do.
us, because we got to close this thing out at some point. So let's leave it on a
What
positive.
I'm saying, I
message.
really do. I have hope. I
Great.
think if people just start trying, it's just that love word. And start realizing where they came from, what made them,
Yeah.
and how this is a part of them. It's inside, and the hate has to be taught. You have to be taught to hate. It's not a natural feeling.
Yeah.
You might have feeling for survival. Fear is a natural feeling,
Sure.
and maybe hate comes from fear. But hate's not like hate isn't fear or pain or anything you can feel. Hate is an emotion, and yeah, I think there's a way to do that. You and I, man, we can get a lot of hate out through rock and roll.
Absolutely. You better believe it. No,
We
it's-
found a tool. You know what I mean? And we share that tool.
it was notable when I wasn't doing it. Let's put it that way.
Right. I mean, but it never left.
God damn.
Oh man, I love it. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll put on the Fugs, you know,
Yeah.
or Slum Goddess of the Low. Yeah, I don't know. I listen to all kinds of music, but anyway, yeah, music is our savior. We found a tool that lets us navigate through this world a little bit, and then we have to show what our love for this music has done, and then we have to show that what we're doing is totally natural. It's
Yeah.
the hate that's not natural. It's really
Well, that's just it. Exactly. Is that if you're looking at it from the perspective of what is or isn't natural, it's like this idea of taking all these emotions and using it as a cudgel towards your fellow man, and not towards the forces of like creating something wonderful and, you know, creating outlets and community. Then
Man,
you got to ask yourself, why are you doing it?
Yeah, and to go back to David, a lot of people would say Dave was had a lot of hate in him. You know, I mean, because he could hate like better than anyone. I mean, really, I mean,
It
he
seemed like a
could.
pastime for him.
Yeah,
Like,
there's this, and he could be so good. And there's a song on Kill the King. It's called Hate.
yeah.
And it talks
Yeah,
how
that's right. Yeah,
hate, it talks about how hate is a good tool. You know, it's a very positive thing. You know, if you can use it as your, back to Livingstone, it's like, yeah, you could. He could hate so much, he could turn it into an energy and then show you that hate and then direct it to a place that you could focus on it.
Right.
And then you could see the problem. And that's what we need people to see, that the real problem is give the focus. But you're right. The brainwash is just so heavy, man. The brainwash, that's like the constant media and the constant attention and the satisfaction you get from those, like they say, what it does to little girls, those little iPad things.
Yeah.
What they do to girls and what they do to people's minds. And I don't have one. I got a flip phone. To me, it's
You're better off, man. It's a bunch of garbage.
it's yeah.
Every once in a while, it's used for the forces of good, but that's like maybe.
Well,
one
I
out of
love
100
this. I don't know what we're doing here, but I love this.
I mean, hey,
this is cool as hell. You know,
there are
look
other
at it,
things. Yeah,
we couldn't do this. Like, was another one of those things, Conan, that we couldn't do 30 years ago. You know,
of course. No, it's not all bullshit.
You'd have your Conan fanzine, right?
Yeah, I did. I actually did.
Xerox the copies, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I had a friend who worked at Kinko's, and get him Xerox on the fly. You know, yeah, absolutely.
So you'd be doing it, but this is so you found a way to positively use this technology to your advantage, and it does help other people. So
well, and that's what everyone should be doing. You know, that's to go back to Biafra, right? Like, what's that line? Become the media. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Scott's like he's becoming crazy. I think he's been shut down twice by my Instagram because our fans or his views are growing so much they think he's using bots.
Amazing. They couldn't possibly legitimately be liking this.
This popular?
No, of course not. That would no way.
Yes,
There's
there
no way
must
that
be
would
some
happen.
bot. But those bots just drive me nuts. I sell books for a living, and they have some bot that can manipulate the prices. So I'll have like a $300 book, and all of a sudden it sells for $5. How does it do it? And they send these bots out there, and they just attack the title, until they can whittle it down.
It's BS. What is it? It's a God_Bullies is the account, the Instagram account, or is it the Thrall account? I can't remember.
We're doing everything through Thrall.
Yeah, so I think it's like
there is a God Bullies out there account. I think Will.
Is it Thrall? Oh, it's Thrall_AT. I think Thrall_AT.
Yeah.
So I'll and the reason I'll put it in the show notes so people can follow it, because that seems to be the only. I mean, all the rest of these, they're all trash. All these social media sites are trash, but that seems to be the least trash out of all of them for bands right now is Instagram. So,
right.
So that way,
I don't know too much about them. I just hear what they do, and
mostly trash.
Yeah.
But that one's actually, if you know how to utilize it, it's you can do some cool stuff with it. For now, they haven't figured out a way to completely make it unfun for bands yet. We'll see.
Scott, like I was telling you earlier, I'm having a lot of fun with it because Scott just like I was telling you, I'm gonna start doing these book reports.
Yeah, no, those are great. And then,
so
people
like
love these little short
the
hits.
first one is it's like a short hit on None Dare Call a Conspiracy.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
it's funny because the Bilderbergers, the Trilateral Commission,
Oh, sure, yeah,
they're all in here.
Yeah.
They're the backbone of the QAnon thing. It's the same shit without the blood.
It really is.
All these years later, like the same. Gary Allen wrote this in 1967.
Yeah, and like probably 90% of it just carries over exactly, right? I mean, it's like
update
a few words here and there.
Yeah, and throwing some blood sacrifice. You can't forget that because that gets their attention. But so anyway, we're gonna do a book report. But the funniest how it started is this book right here, Dr. Feelgood. And it's about the doctor that was shooting Kennedy full of speed and
really? That's awesome.
Oh man, there's a story in it where Kennedy's all shut up on speed and vitamin B12, and he's butt naked while running down the hallway of the Waldorf with Secret Service officers chasing him. Wow. Because he's all messed up on speed.
That's a hell of a day on the job, right?
Yes, it's called Dr. Feelgood, and it's an honest book. It's written about his doctor, Dr. Feelgood, and he was shooting everybody up, even like celebrities, Frank Sinatra, Jerry Lewis. So anyone that came to town saw Dr. Feelgood. But Kennedy got so bad, he started injecting himself.
Wow.
Yeah, and Bobby Kennedy caught him, and he stole like 20 vials. Brought him to the Department of Medicine and asked, what is this shit he's shooting up?
Yeah.
He got it back and he tells John, he's like, John, the doctors, you're shooting up meth. You're shooting meth and vitamin B and some hormones.
Amazing.
And John Kennedy goes, I don't give a shit if it's horse piss. It makes me feel good.
Of course, well, spoken like a true addict, right? Yeah.
So, I mean, I read about 100 or some odd books on the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah.
But when I read this one, it all made sense.
I was gonna say it tracks, right?
It all made sense, man. This guy gotta go.
That's funny.
So we're gonna start doing these book report times.
So look, so go to the Thrall_AT account and follow that. There's a Facebook page as well. If you do that, after I've just basically trashed on Facebook for like 10 minutes. And there's going to be more Thrall activities coming up, right?
Yeah,
so
we're going to do it. We're going into the belly of the beast into the Midwest, and we're going to get our people together. And I know we're going to have a good time. And for some reason in Dubuque, Iowa, they love us. I think we think alike. Yeah. So we've always had killer shows there. So
that's great. So there's going to be more Thrall stuff to come.
Yeah.
And I'll hopefully.
Well, thank you.
I would like to see it, so I'll see what I can do about doing that. Even though I have to go to a different city, it's fine.
Well, Conan, I really, really appreciate it, and I know Johnny and David out there. Johnny and David.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Shout out to both of them. It's they've left a lot of good in the world. So.
Yeah, I wonder if Pete Davis would ever do anything with Your Flesh, like maybe put out like a catalog or reissue, or I've seen books or magazines like posted. He should do that.
Man.
Like
a collected book. That would be cool.
Yeah, like just like there's a couple, like maybe 10 issues here, 10 issues there. I mean, the articles are all good. The artwork's all good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I wish Pete would do something like that. Maybe we'll.
Oh, there you go. Let's put it in the universe, right?
Yeah. Get the new generation.
Exactly.
Your I mean,
if Cream can do it, I mean, they brought back Cream.
Right? Yeah.
So,
oh yeah, Lester Bangs. I just read it. Have you ever Lester Bangs?
Carburetor.
I read his book. I read this book.
What Bulldozers and Carburetor Dung? Is that what's called?
Carburetor. Something Carburetor.
Great book.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just finished that the other day, and it was so cool how he was into Iggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like wait anyone. I mean, if people were dogging him, he had a love-hate with Iggy. So I mean, he loved Iggy. It's so cool. Yeah.
All right, so Mike, thanks so much, man.
Thank you. Yes.
Glad you're doing stuff, and hope to see you.
Oh, thank you, Conan. Keep the faith.
Until next time.
Right on. Thank you.
Take care, brother.
Yep.
There he is, Mr. Mike Hard. Let's close it out on let's go on a Thrall song. Actually, let's do "The Blood Is the Life." Thank you very much, everyone. All right. There you go. That was The Blood is the Life, Thrall. You can find that on the Chemical Wedding record. And if you're at Fuzzfest in Ann Arbor, maybe you saw it live. That was Mike Hart of Thrall and God Bullies, They Never Sleep, so on and so on. So I'm not going to sit here and name every single band, but always a pleasure to have them on. It's a shame there's been so much tragedy, but I like that they're playing. That's good news. Good news indeed. Name of the show is Conan and Josh Protonic Reversal. Thank you so very much for listening to it. The show airs Thursdays, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. Streaming on YouTube and Twitch live, podcasted later. Archives available on ProtonicReversal.com. Always free, no ads, no sponsors, no kidding. Get it wherever you get your podcasts. If you like the show and want to support it and get episodes sooner, $1 a month at patreon.com/ProtonicReversal will achieve that goal. Also support the show. And if you like the show and want to subscribe on your platform of choice, share around the internet, even leave a review, all that helps people discover the show, and it beats back the almighty algorithmic overlords. It's a darn nice thing to do, really.
I've got 50,000 watts of...
So much stuff coming up. Eugene Robinson of Oxbow is next, I believe. So much, though. Thanks for sticking with it, as always, and thanks for listening. Appreciate each and every one of you for checking it out. And if you haven't already, go back in the archives for the last time my card was on. Stay safe out there.
Can you hear me now?
And check you later.
Out on Route 128, you're dark and lonely. I got my radio on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Welcome to my top 10. I'd like to thank our sponsor. But we haven't got a sponsor. Not if you were the last man on earth. She was prepared to prove it. This one goes out to a special girl. But there is no special girl. It's the end of radio. The last announcer plays the last record. The last what? Leaves the transmitter. Circles the globe in search of a listener. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? really broadcasting if there's no one there to receive? It's the end of radio. As we come to the close of our broadcast day, got my radio on. Can you hear me now? This is a test! If this had been a real emergency,